The harsh truth about money. Let me tell you something that nobody wants to hear, but everyone needs to know. Money doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your sob story or how hard your childhood was. Money is cold, ruthless, and completely indifferent to your dreams. But here's what money does care about: results, action, value creation, and the person who understands this fundamental truth will always have an advantage over the person who's still making excuses. I've watched people work their entire lives believing that if they just work harder, if they just put in more hours, somehow the money will follow. They're grinding 60, 70, 80 hours a week, breaking their backs, sacrificing their health, their families, their souls. For what? A paycheck that barely covers their expenses? The harsh truth is this: you were never taught how money really works. Your parents didn't know. Your teachers didn't know. Society sold you a lie wrapped in a diploma and a promise that if you follow the rules, everything will work out fine. But the rules were written by people who wanted to keep you exactly where you are: dependent, desperate, and distracted. Right now, while you're listening to this, there are people your age making more money in a month than you make in a year. Not because they're smarter than you, not because they're more talented, but because they understood something you're just beginning to learn. Money is a game, and like any game, there are rules. There are strategies. There are winners and losers. The difference is that most people don't even know they're playing. They think money is about luck. They think it's about connections. They think it's about having rich parents or getting a good education. But that's not the game at all. The real game is about understanding value, leverage, and most importantly, understanding yourself. Because here's what they don't tell you: your relationship with money is a direct reflection of your relationship with yourself. If you don't believe you deserve wealth, you'll sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. If you don't believe you're capable of creating value, you'll always be trading time for money like a slave. But there's hope. There's always hope. Because once you understand the real rules, once you see the matrix for what it really is, everything changes. The question is, are you ready to face the uncomfortable truth about why you're not where you want to be? Why most people stay broke? Picture this. It's Monday morning, 6 a.m. The alarm screams. Sarah drags herself out of bed, already dreading the day ahead. Coffee, shower, traffic, cubicle, meetings about meetings, lunch at her desk, more emails, traffic, dinner, Netflix, sleep, repeat. Sarah believes she's working towards something. She's been told that if she keeps her head down, stays loyal to the company, maybe she'll get that promotion. Maybe her salary will increase by 3% this year. Maybe she'll finally be able to afford that vacation she's been postponing for the last 5 years. But Sarah is living in a prison, and she doesn't even know it. The broke mindset isn't about how much money you have in your bank account. I've met people with six-figure salaries who are completely broke because they think like broke people. And I've met people with $500 to their name who are wealthy because they think like wealthy people. So what's the difference? Broke people think in terms of hours. Wealthy people think in terms of results. Broke people ask, how much does it pay? Wealthy people ask, how much value can I create? Broke people save money. Wealthy people invest money. Broke people outcomes. But here's the deepest truth. Broke people are addicted to certainty. They'd rather have the guaranteed misery of a paycheck than the uncertain possibility of abundance. They've been programmed to believe that security comes from outside themselves, from a job, from a company, from the government. This is the biggest lie ever sold to humanity. Real security comes from your ability to create value, solve problems, and adapt to change. Real security comes from owning assets, building systems, and developing skills that can't be taken away from you. But most people will never develop these skills because they're too busy surviving to start thriving. They're stuck in what I call the survival loop, working to pay bills, paying bills to keep working, never building anything that could set them free. And the tragic part? They'll defend this loop with their lives. They'll call it being responsible. They'll call it being realistic. They'll look at people who broke free and say, they got lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. What separated those who broke free from those who stayed trapped was a single decision. The decision to stop accepting limitations as permanent and start seeing them as temporary obstacles to overcome. The decision to stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the architect of their own destiny. Escaping the 9-to-5 illusion, let me paint you a picture of the greatest scam in human history. Somewhere along the way, someone convinced millions of intelligent, capable human beings that the best use of their one precious life was to spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, for 40-plus years, making someone else's dreams come true. Think about that for a moment. Really think about it. You have roughly 700,000 hours in your lifetime, and the traditional path asks you to give away 80,000 of those hours, your most productive, energetic, creative hours, to build someone else's empire while you get just enough money to survive until the next paycheck. This isn't employment. This is modern-day slavery with better marketing. But here's what makes it even more insidious. They've convinced you it's noble. They've made you believe that trading your life for money is somehow honorable, responsible, mature. Meanwhile, the person who owns the company you work for, the person who's benefiting from your 80,000 hours, they're probably on a yacht somewhere, making more money while they sleep than you make while you're awake. The 9-to-5 wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you useful. It was designed to take your dreams, your ambitions, your creative energy and channel them into making someone else rich. But here's the thing about illusions. Once you see through them, you can never unsee the truth. The truth is that you were born to create, not just consume. You were born to build, not just follow. You were born to lead your own life, not live someone else's plan for you. Every single day you spend in that cubicle, in that office, in that factory, is a day you're not building your own empire. It's a day you're not developing your own skills. It's a day you're not creating your own legacy. And time is the one thing you can never get back. I'm not saying everyone needs to quit their job tomorrow. That's not realistic for most people. But what I am saying is that you need to stop seeing your job as your identity and start seeing it as a temporary funding mechanism for your real goals. Your job should be financing your freedom, not financing your prison. Start building something on the side. Start learning skills that could replace your income. Start creating value that people will pay for. Retire broke. The goal is to work for yourself for 10 years and then have choices for the rest of your life. But this requires something most people aren't willing to do. It requires you to bet on yourself. It requires you to believe that you're capable of more than just following orders and collecting paychecks. It requires you to take responsibility for your own financial future instead of hoping that someone else will take care of you. And that's where most people fail, not because they can't do it, but because they won't even try. The price of financial freedom. Freedom isn't free. It never has been, and it never will be. But here's what most people don't understand. You're going to pay a price either way. The question is whether you want to pay the price of discipline or the price of regret. The price of discipline weighs ounces. The price of regret weighs tons. Let me tell you about two people I know, Marcus and David. Same age, same background, same opportunities. 5 years ago, they both had the same amount of money in their bank accounts. Almost nothing. Marcus decided to pay the price up front. He sacrificed his weekends to build a side business. He sacrificed his social life to learn new skills. He sacrificed his comfort to invest every extra dollar he could find. He ate ramen while his friends ate at restaurants. He drove an old car while his friends leased new ones. He lived in a small apartment while his friends rented expensive places to impress people they didn't even like. David decided to live in the moment. He deserved to enjoy his youth, he said. He deserved to have nice things now. Why sacrifice sacrificed today for some uncertain tomorrow. He went out every weekend. He bought the latest gadgets. He leased the nice car. He lived in the trendy neighborhood. Today, Marcus owns 3 rental properties, has a 6-figure business, and spends his time doing what he loves. He has choices. He has options. He has freedom. David is still living paycheck to paycheck, complaining about his boss, stressed about his credit card debt, and wondering why he can never seem to get ahead. Both men paid a price. Marcus paid it up front and in full. David is still paying it and will be paying it for the rest of his life. This is the harsh mathematics of life. You can either pay now or pay later, but you will pay. The price of financial freedom is giving up immediate gratification for long-term satisfaction. It's choosing delayed rewards over instant pleasure. It's being willing to do what others won't so you can have what others can't. It means saying no to things you want today so you can say yes to things you need tomorrow. But here's what makes this price worth paying. Freedom isn't just about money. Financial freedom is about time freedom. It's about location freedom. It's about the freedom to choose how you spend your days instead of having someone else choose for you. It's about having enough money that money stops being a constant source of stress and anxiety in your life. It's about being able to help your family, support causes you believe in, and make a real impact in the world. It's about looking in the mirror and knowing that you took control of your life instead of letting life control you. But most people will never pay this price because they can't see past their immediate desires. They want the result without the process. They want the destination without the journey. They want financial freedom, but they're not willing to be financially disciplined. They want to be wealthy, but they're not willing to think like wealthy people. They want change, but they're not willing to change. And so they stay exactly where they are, wondering why nothing ever gets better, not realizing that nothing changes until they change. The price of financial freedom is clear. The question is, are you willing to pay it? Habits that keep you poor. Your life is nothing more than the sum total of your daily habits. Right now, as you're listening to this, your habits are either building wealth or destroying it. They're either moving you toward financial freedom or deeper into financial slavery. There is no neutral ground. Let me show you the invisible chains that keep most people broke their entire lives. The convenience habit. Poor people pay extra for convenience. They pay ATM fees because they can't plan ahead. They pay overdraft fees because they don't track their spending. They buy expensive coffee every day instead of making it at home. They order takeout because cooking feels like too much work. Each individual expense seems small, but it's death by 1,000 cuts. Wealthy people understand that convenience is expensive, and they're willing to be slightly inconvenienced today to be massively convenient tomorrow. The approval habit. Poor people spend money they don't have to impress people they don't even like. They lease cars they can't afford to look successful. They buy clothes with brand names to fit in. They go to expensive restaurants and put it on credit cards to maintain an image. This is insanity. You're literally going into debt to pretend you're not broke. Wealthy people don't care what broke people think about their spending habits. The instant gratification habit. Poor people want everything now. They can't delay pleasure for even a few months. They finance furniture, electronics, vacations, anything to avoid waiting. They turn everything into monthly payments, not realizing they're paying double or triple the original price. Wealthy people understand that patience is profitable. They save up and pay cash, then invest the money they would have spent on interest. The victim habit. Poor people blame everything except themselves. The economy is bad. Their boss doesn't appreciate them. The system is rigged. Rich people are greedy. It's never their fault, and therefore it's never their responsibility to fix it. Wealthy people take full responsibility for their financial situation, which gives them the power to change it. The education habit. Poor people think education stops after school. They never read books about money, investing, or business. They don't develop new skills. They don't study successful people. They think they know enough, when in reality, they know almost nothing about how money works. Wealthy people are lifelong learners. They invest in their education continuously because they understand that knowledge is the foundation of wealth. The short-term thinking habit. Poor people make decisions based on what feels good today. They can't see beyond the next paycheck. They don't think about where their choices will lead them in 5 or 10 years. Wealthy people think in decades. Every decision is filtered through the question, will this move me closer to or further from my long-term goals? But here's the real tragedy. Most people don't even know they have these habits. They're unconscious. They're automatic. They've been reinforced for so long that they feel natural, normal, inevitable. Breaking free requires becoming conscious of your patterns and making deliberate choices to replace destructive habits with constructive ones. It requires admitting that your current habits got you to where you are now, and if you want to be somewhere different, you need different habits. The good news is that habits can be changed. The bad news is that ones who sleep peacefully at night because they understand how money really works. And what I discovered will shock you. Most millionaires live below their means, not above them. They drive reliable cars, not flashy ones. They live in nice homes, not mansions. They dress well, but not expensively. The fake rich try to look rich. The real rich try to stay rich. Here's what separates millionaire minds from broke minds. They think in assets, not income. Broke people ask, how can I make more money? Millionaires ask, how can I buy more assets? An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Most people spend their entire lives accumulating liabilities and wondering why they never get ahead. Your car is not an asset. It's a depreciating liability. Your house might be an asset if it generates rental income. But if you're just living in it and making payments, it's a liability. Your job is not an asset. It's trading time for money. Real assets work for you while you sleep. Stocks, bonds, real estate, businesses, these things generate income without requiring your constant presence. They understand leverage. Millionaires use other people's time, money, and expertise to multiply their results. They don't try to do everything themselves. They build systems and hire people to run those systems. Broke people think leverage is risky. Millionaires know that not using leverage is risky. They focus on value creation. Every millionaire I know got there by solving problems for other people. They found a way to create value that people were willing to pay for. The more value they created, the more money flowed to them. Broke people focus on getting paid. Millionaires focus on creating value and trust that payment will follow. They invest in themselves first. Before millionaires invest in stocks or real estate, they invest in their own knowledge, i.e. in skills. They understand that their ability to generate income is their most important asset. They read books, take courses, hire coaches, attend seminars. They never stop learning because they know that what got them here won't get them there. They think long-term. Millionaires plant trees today that they'll sit under in 10 years. They make sacrifices today for benefits they won't see for years or even decades. Broke people can't see past Friday. They make decisions based on immediate needs and wonder why they never build anything lasting. They surround themselves with the right people. Show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll predict your financial future with 90% accuracy. Millionaires understand that your network determines your net worth. They spend time with people who challenge them, inspire them, and hold them accountable. They avoid energy vampires, complainers, and people who try to talk them out of their dreams. They take calculated risks. Millionaires aren't gamblers, but they're not afraid of risk either. They understand that the biggest risk is playing it safe in a world that's constantly changing. They do their homework, minimize downside, and position themselves to benefit from upside. But here's the most important lesson I learned from studying millionaires. They all had to change who they were to become who they are. They had to give up broke thinking patterns, broke habits, and broke relationships. They had to become the type of person who could handle wealth before wealth would stay with them. Because here's the truth. If you're not growing into the person you need to be, money will just amplify who you already are. And if who you are right now was capable of creating and keeping wealth, you'd already have it. How people waste 40 years working, 40 years. Let that sink in. 40 years of waking up to an alarm clock set by anyone else. 40 years of asking permission to take a vacation. 40 years of hoping your boss is in a good mood. 40 years of pretending to be busy when you've already finished your work. 40 years of watching the clock, waiting for 5 p.m. 40 years of your life gone. And for what? Most people will retire with less money than they need to maintain their current lifestyle. The average American has less than $65,000 saved for retirement. Do you know how long that lasts? About 3 years. 3 years of retirement after 40 years of work. This is the greatest tragedy of our time. Millions of intelligent, capable people wasting the most productive decades of their lives building someone else's empire while their own dreams die a slow death in a cubicle. But it gets worse. Not only are they wasting their time, they're actually going backwards. Inflation is eating away at their buying power. Healthcare costs are rising faster than their salaries. Technology is eliminating jobs faster than new ones are being created. They're running on a treadmill that's speeding up while they're slowing down. And the cruelest part? Most of them know it. Deep down, they know they're trapped in a system that wasn't designed to make them wealthy. But they've convinced themselves they have no choice. I have bills to pay. I have a family to support. I can't afford to take risks. I'm too old to start over. I don't have enough money to invest. These aren't reasons. These are excuses. And excuses are the nails that build the house of failure. Let me tell you about Janet. She worked at the same company for 32 years. Started as a receptionist, worked her way up to middle management. Good employee, reliable, loyal. The company got bought out. New owners decided to streamline operations. Janet, at 55 years old, with 3 years left on her mortgage and 2 kids in college, got a pink slip and a thank you card. 32 years of loyalty meant nothing. The company she gave her best years to discarded her like a used tissue. This is happening to millions of people right now. The employment contract is broken. Companies have no loyalty to employees, yet employees continue to have loyalty to companies. But here's what really breaks my heart. It doesn't have to be this way. In the same 40 years that Janet spent climbing the corporate ladder to nowhere, she could have built multiple streams of income. She could have invested in real estate, stocks, bonds. She could have started a side business. She could have developed skills that no one could take away from her. She could have been building her own empire instead of building someone else's. The tools are available. The information is accessible. The opportunities are everywhere. But most people will never take advantage of them because they're too comfortable being uncomfortable. They'd rather have the predictable misery of a paycheck than the uncertain possibility of abundance. They've been conditioned to believe that security comes from outside themselves, when real security comes from your ability to create value in the marketplace. The saddest part? At the end of those 40 years, most people will look back and realize they never really lived. They survived, but they never thrived. They played it safe and lost everything anyway. Don't let that be your story. 46:15. Discipline, the uncomfortable secret. Nobody wants to talk about discipline because discipline is not sexy. Discipline doesn't get likes on social media. Discipline doesn't make for good clickbait headlines. But discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Everything you want in life, wealth, health, relationships, success, everything is on the other side of discipline. But here's what most people don't understand about comes and goes. Discipline is about systems. It's about doing what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. Rich people understand this. Poor people are waiting to feel motivated. Let me give you the harsh truth about discipline. It's uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. If it was comfortable, everyone would do it, and it wouldn't be special. Discipline means getting up at 5 a.m. when your bed is warm and comfortable. Discipline means saving money when there's something you want to buy. Discipline means working on your business when your friends are watching Netflix. Discipline means choosing your future over your present. And this is where most people fail. They want the results of discipline without the discomfort of discipline. They want to be wealthy, but they won't stick to a budget. They want to be successful, but they won't work when they don't feel like it. They want to be healthy, but they won't exercise consistently. They want to be disciplined, but they won't discipline themselves. But here's the beautiful thing about discipline. It compounds. Every disciplined action you take makes the next disciplined action easier. Every time you choose long-term thinking over short-term pleasure, you're strengthening your discipline muscle. And eventually, discipline becomes automatic. It becomes who you are, not just what you do. I know people who haven't missed a workout in 5 years. I know people who haven't missed reading for 30 minutes a day in a decade. I know people who invest money every single month, regardless of what's happening in their lives. These people aren't superhuman. They're not more motivated than you. They just understood that discipline is a skill that can be developed. But developing discipline requires you to make friends with discomfort. You have to be willing to feel uncomfortable in the short term to feel comfortable in the long term. Most people have this backwards. They choose comfort today and guarantee discomfort tomorrow. They avoid the small disciplines that would set them free and end up accepting the large regrets that keep them trapped. Here's what I want you to understand. Your current level of discipline created your current results. If you want different results, you need different levels of discipline. But discipline isn't punishment. Discipline is freedom. When you're disciplined with your money, you're free from financial stress. When you're disciplined with your health, you're free from medical problems. When you're disciplined with your time, you're free to do what matters most. Discipline today, freedom tomorrow. Or comfort today, struggle tomorrow. The choice is yours, but you can't have both. And here's the thing about discipline that nobody tells you. It gets easier. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. What feels impossible today will feel automatic tomorrow. But you have to start. You have to take the first uncomfortable step, and then the second, and then the third, one day at a time, one choice at a time, one disciplined action at a time, until discipline becomes your default setting, until success becomes inevitable. What true wealth really means. Let me tell you what wealth is not. Wealth is not a number in your bank account, though money is a part of it. Wealth is not the car you drive or the house you live in, though assets matter. Wealth is not the designer clothes you wear or the expensive restaurants you frequent. True wealth is simpler and more profound than any of that. True wealth is options. Wealth is being able to walk away from any situation that doesn't serve having someone else choose for you. Wealth is being able to help the people you love without it being a financial burden. Wealth is peace of mind. It's knowing that if something happens, if you get sick, if you lose your job, if the economy crashes, you'll be okay. Not just okay, but actually okay. But here's what true wealth really means. True wealth is freedom from the need to impress others. Poor people spend money they don't have to impress people they don't even like. Wealthy people don't care what anyone thinks about their spending habits because they're not spending to impress. They're spending to invest. True wealth means you can afford to be authentic. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not because you're not insecure about your financial situation. Wealth is also responsibility. The more resources you have, the more ability you have to make a positive impact in the world. Wealthy people understand that money is not just about personal comfort. It's about having the power to solve problems and help others. But here's the deepest truth about wealth. It's not really about the money at all. Money is just a tool. Wealth is what that tool can build. Real wealth is having enough money that money stops being the primary factor in your decisions. You can choose jobs based on fulfillment instead of just salary. You can choose relationships based on compatibility instead of financial security. You can choose where to live based on lifestyle instead of affordability. Wealth is time freedom. It's not having to check your bank account before making a purchase. It's not having to work a job you hate because you need the insurance. It's not having to stress about retirement because you've already taken care of your future self. But here's what most people get wrong about wealth. They think it's about accumulating as much as possible. That's not wealth. That's greed. True wealth is having enough. Enough to be comfortable, enough to be generous, enough to be free. And enough is different for everyone. For some people, enough might be $1 million. For others, it might be 10 million. The number doesn't matter as much as the feeling of security, the feeling of options, the feeling of freedom. But here's the paradox of wealth. The more you focus on money, the less likely you are to become wealthy. The more you focus on creating value, solving problems, and serving others, the more wealth flows to you naturally. Wealth is not the goal. Wealth is the result of disciplined habits, the result of delayed gratification, the result of consistent value creation, the result of thinking long-term when everyone else is thinking short-term. And here's the beautiful thing about true wealth. Once you understand what it really means, you realize it's more achievable than you thought. You don't need to become a billionaire to be wealthy. You just need to become free. Free from financial stress, free from toxic relationships, free from soul-crushing work, free to pursue what matters most to you. That's true wealth, and it's available to anyone willing to pay the price. 5910. Final reality check on life money. We're at the end of this journey together, and I need you to understand something fundamental about the next 24 hours of your life. Everything I've shared with you, every principle, every strategy, every uncomfortable truth, it's all worthless unless you act on it. Right now, you have a choice to make. The same choice that every person who has ever achieved financial freedom had to make. You can close this video, go back to your regular routine. Bank account is a reflection of your financial decisions. Your career is a reflection of your professional decisions. Your relationships are a reflection of your social decisions. Your health is a reflection of your lifestyle decisions. Nothing in your life is happening to you. Everything in your life is happening because of you. This isn't meant to make you feel bad. It's meant to make you feel powerful. Because if your choices created your current situation, then different choices can create a different situation. But here's the brutal reality. Most people who listen to this entire message will do absolutely nothing with it. They'll agree with everything I said. They'll feel motivated for a few hours, maybe even a few days. They might even share it with their friends. But they won't change their daily habits. They won't start investing. They won't build a side business. They won't read books about money. They won't surround themselves with people who are where they want to be. They'll go back to the same job, make the same excuses, have the same conversations, and wonder why nothing ever changes. Don't be that person. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. This is not practice for the real thing. This is the real thing. Every day you waste is a day you can't get back. Every opportunity you don't take is an opportunity that might not come again. Time is the only truly limited resource you have. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And here's what breaks my heart. Most people will spend more time planning their vacation than they'll spend planning their financial future. They'll spend hours researching which phone to buy, but won't spend 5 minutes researching how to invest their money. They'll complain about being broke while spending money on things they don't need to impress people they don't like. But you're different. You made it this far, which means something inside you is ready for change. The question is, what are you going to do in the next 24 hours? Not next week, not next month, not next year, the next 24 hours. Because transformation doesn't happen in moments of inspiration, it happens in moments of decision, followed by consistent action. Pick one thing from everything you've heard today, just one thing, and commit to acting on it within the next 24 hours. Maybe it's opening an investment account. Maybe it's reading the first chapter of a book about money. Maybe it's having an honest conversation with yourself about your financial goals. Maybe it's calculating how much money you're wasting on unnecessary expenses. Whatever it is, do something. Take action. Move forward. Because here's the final truth. The life you're living right now is the result of your past decisions. The life you'll be living 5 years from now will be the result of the decisions you make starting today. Your future self is counting on the choices you make right now. Don't let them down. The time for excuses is over. The time for action is now. Your wealthy life is waiting for you on the other side of discipline, consistency, and courage. Go claim it.